Hi students, welcome to the video lectures of software engineering. So today we are going to talk about construction principles. So what are construction principles? So construction principles will have, set of coding as well as testing tasks which are involved in this, such that this will lead to the, a operational software which is ready to deliver it to the customer. Okay. So that is what construction principle says. So when we talk about construction principles, we have certain principles which are defined here, and these are divided into, coding as well as testing principles. So let us look at these principles one by one. So first one we talk about is preparation principles. Under preparation principles, first one we have is to understand the problem. So what are these preparation principles? So first of all, so before we write at least one line of code, we should ensure the following. Okay. So under that, what are the things that we need to ensure before we start writing at least one line of code is to understand the problem. Okay. So what is understanding the problem? It is just to know what you're solving before we start coding. Okay. So that is what is understanding the problems. Then second one is understand the design. So what is understanding the design? So the coding must follow the design guidelines. For example, let us say, if MVC is used, just keep business logic in controller, not in the view, these kind of things. Okay. So understanding the basic design principles and concepts will fall under here, understand the design principle. So third one is choose the right language and environment, which means we have to pick a programming language that needs the need of the software to be built and environment in which it will operate. That is choosing the right language and environment. For example, if you are trying to build a real-time chat application, so Node.js might be chosen for its event-driven model, right? So that is, you use tools that suits the project very well. And let us see the next line, the point that is create unit tests before coding. Okay. So before the unit test is, this is the, test first approach we say. So we write a test for a login function before writing its implementation. So that is, we do some unit testing before we start. Okay. These are the preparation principles. Next, we see programming principles. So what are programming principles? We'll see. So first one is use structured programming. Okay. So what is using the structured programming? So we should keep the code simple and logical. Okay. So these programming principles are like, as you begin writing the code, just we have to be sure of all these things. So first one is we use structured programming, which means you use like, loops, conditionals clearly, and try to avoid deeply the nested logic that exists. And say next point is use pair programming when possible. So two people working together can spot errors easily or early, right? So like one will write the code while the other reviews it in the real time. So that is what, using the pair programming whenever it is possible. So then the next point is use appropriate data structures. So here we have to pick the right tool for the job. Okay. So for example, you use a hash table for fast lookups rather than a list. Okay. I'll just write. So using the appropriate data structures is use a hash table for fast lookup. Okay. So rather than using what? A list. Okay. So this is how you need to ensure you are using the appropriate data structure. Okay. So this is just like picking up the right one. Next is follow the coding standards. So this is a very important thing. Okay. Following the coding standards is something which is very important. Okay. So which means you maintain some readability and consistency throughout. And for example, to say you always use camel case for variable names. Okay. In JavaScript. Then next one is use meaningful names and comments. Okay. So using meaningful names and comments is we make the code self-explanatory. Self-explanatory. Okay. That is what using the meaningful names and comments. For example, let us say a function called some calculate total price. So is more meaningful than writing some, this kind of thing. Say some calculate TP, CALCTP. So for the meaningful name could be, calculate total price. And how is this? How is this? Just you can understand. Okay. So next, the principle is design for readability. So this is nothing but the indent code and or we organize logically, right? So that is what he's saying. And for example, you have to separate each function with clear line breaks and comments, etc. That is this design for readability says. Then we talk about the validation principles. So validation principles are, first one is to do some code walkthroughs. So code walkthrough is to review the code. Code walkthrough is to review the code with your peers. So what is the reason to do this? So we can find out what errors or what defects to say precisely. Okay, to find out this. And next is to refactor code. So this is to improve the internal structure, okay, without changing the output. Is you're refactoring the code. That is, you replace some duplicate code with a reusable function, right? So that falls under this refactoring the code. Next was to perform the unit testing. So we have to ensure the individual modules, okay, the individual modules works, as per the expectations. So this is what we'll do. Okay. For example, you try to test if the password reset feature sends the correct email or not. Okay. So this is what is about your validation principles under this construction. And next we'll talk about deployment principles. So what are these deployment principles and why these are important? So basically what deployment principles give you the outline is, so to deliver the software in steps, that is phases, and train the users properly and provide maintenance and take feedback for future updates. So this is what your deployment principle speaks about. So now we'll see one by one. So first point, so the first principle says manage customer expectations. So basically when there is a project that which we work, the customer will give you a requirements. Based on the requirements, we try to do the project, right? So now here the key thing is the key thing in the deployment activity are the delivery, support, and feedback, right? So key things in the deployment are delivery, support, and feedback. So these three are the main actions that are encompassed in your deployment activity. So to ensure all these things, we have some principles. So that is what the first principle says: manage the customer expectations. So it is nothing but you should deliver. Okay, you should deliver what is promised. You should deliver what is promised. This is what the first principle says. Okay, so suppose if there is a feature to export some reports, or if there is a feature which is asked by the customer precisely, okay, just you have to deliver whatever that is promised. Clear? So, and second is prepare a complete delivery package, which means we have to include all the necessary files, scripts, and instruction manuals, everything under this principle. Okay. For example, if you deliver a software, so we provide, we provide what? Installation setup, some database scripts, and a user manual kind of thing. Okay, which will make the customer satisfied. So this is what I'm preparing a complete delivery package. Next point is test the delivery package. So this is to verify it works in a real world environment or not. That is to test the delivery package. Suppose, for example, let us say we have delivered a project ABC. The project name, the product name, let us assume it as an ABC. So just we have to run this ABC file. So run this ABC file, say for example, on Windows operating system and Linux systems, etc. So in order to ensure the compatibility. Okay. So this is what we do in the test the delivery package principle says this. Next, fourth point is to establish a support system. So this is to provide the channels for user assistance. Okay. We have to provide the user various channels for assistance. Okay. For example, these days you are seeing some chat support in the applications or in your software that we are getting. So, or if you have any kind of issues, you are also viewing some ticketing systems. That is, you raise a ticket, it is being followed up, and you get it resolved. And also, you are seeing the chat support that which are enabled in many of the softwares. So these are all the things which fall under establishing a support system. Clear? So next we see the point is provide instructional materials. Okay, so this is to help the users to get started. Okay, this is what the point providing the instruction materials says. Clear? Then, for example, if you deliver some software, let us say some XY, sorry, earlier we have seen ABC, right? ABC, your product. So just give some a video regarding, the product. Like we generally see some getting started kind of videos which are given for the new products, right? So in similar way, just prepare some, so which will fall under this principle called as provide instructional materials. Next, don't deliver buggy software. Okay? Fix whatever the critical bugs that you find before the release of the software. Okay, so that will ensure that it doesn't get affected when immediately when you deliver it to the customer. Next, encourage feedback. Okay. So user feedback uh, is important. So user feedback is important for us. So because in order to improve the future versions of our particular software, which which we have delivered. So this is most important thing. So for doing this, we need to also append or add some send feedback kind of button in your software such that the user will send. So next point is plan for post deployment updates. So let us say we encounter some minor updates. So let us say like we try to expect some minor updates post deployment. So we should also plan for such. Okay. So because the users may request us with some new features, the users may request us to change something in the delivered product. So based on that, we have to plan for some kind of updates to the existing software, and we generally have the versions released, right? So those are under this post deployment updates. Suppose you got some ABC software 1.0, then you try to give it as a 2.0 as an update. Okay, that is what it's saying. So the summary, software engineering principles, so far we have seen in our previous, all the video lectures, guides the development of high quality software and also covers all the stages like communication, planning, modeling, construction, deployment, and also helps avoid mistakes and deliver better products. So thank you, students. Hope you all understand.